Welcome to Yard for this week's educational. Lucky decides to join us. He'll probably ditch us. He's a natural freak athlete, so he'll probably get bored. But we're going to have a conversation with my younger self. Odds are, if something has changed my life, and I'm a pretty regular person, and especially someone who suffers with a lot of injuries and naturally isn't athletic, odds are it's going to help someone else's life too. So this is exactly what we're going to do. Early in my sports career, I was under the impression that I had poor stamina. Question number one, was I the fastest on the court? No, actually, I was the slowest on the court. I very well may have had the best VO2 max on the court. Maybe I had the best endurance on the court for how fast I was. So 80-90 is something I think with now. What that means, that 80-90 goes unnoticed in sports. You can't really tell if someone's going 80% as fast as they could or 90%. It's this gray area in there. And we're talking about team sports. We're not talking about 100-meter sprint. We're not talking about a marathon. We're talking about like soccer, basketball. So I, as the slowest player in the court, was probably having to work at least 90% of my maximum just to keep up with someone else's 80%. This is the biggest reason, is just that you're exerting more relative to your competition. So that was the first question that over time I started to realize, oh my gosh, I'm just the slowest on the court. Therefore, I'm having to exert myself so much harder. Number two that I think with now is, okay, we want to change number one. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the pound for pound strongest we can at bulletproofing reserve. And I put by size there. So an example would be, and I'm actually in my workout, I saved the last set on each exercise. I have 4 exercises today. So with this exercise, I am trying to lift my heel as I lower that heel to the floor and then push up without that heel touching. That means my lower leg and knee have to be strong enough. Now, when I started this, I couldn't even do my own body weight. So it was super painful, and I had to regress and work at my pain-free level, which meant assisted and using a low step. Now this is, not only is this not painful, this is like pleasurable now. There's something that feels really good about working out the targeted areas, getting a really good workout. So I'm loading myself in this position of where people tend to feel knee pain in sports. So this is now bulletproofing me, but in doing so this is a powerful, powerful exercise to get people out of pain, to rehabilitate. But what happens as you keep getting stronger? So it's easy to think, oh my gosh, I'm the slowest. Let me just try to lift the same squats, deadlifts, whatever, of the fastest guys, things of that nature. But you don't necessarily have the joint of the fastest guys, the highest jumpers. So for me, that is why I have one of the greatest jump transformations ever.
Literally, I don't know if he could touch the rim with his fingertips with no basketball or anything else.
Not from some fancy exercise. I don't even have any secrets. I'm taking you right inside my actual workout right now to get even more athletic. But I'm getting more athletic because I'm giving my body more bulletproofing reserve. So when I do go play basketball, run, jump in my sport, that shit's getting easier. Gravity is feeling less with each passing year of training like this. So that's the trick, not just thinking, let me just try to sprint and do the plyometrics of the fastest guys. So what I did was backward. I thought I had poor stamina, so I did more endurance work, which is the last thing I needed after already running miles and miles all week on the court. I did more endurance work, which that I think is what initially gave me chronic knee pain from all the basketball and cutting. It's way different than just running when you're playing basketball, running miles. Then you add more miles. Then I added plyometrics to that. So I basically followed a recipe of like how to destroy your knees and be wrecked and depressed in your teens. Like, how would you get someone hooked on painkillers in their teens for their knees? Well, I just gave you the recipe I was given by trainers for my problem. So I'm giving you the opposite recipe. So then as we go into number 3, oh, and I put size here. And what that means is like, this isn't from today's workout, but take something like an L-sit, all right? This doesn't guarantee you to be fast, this ability to hold your body off. But I guarantee you no 7-footer in the NBA can do that for even 5 seconds or probably not even get themselves off the ground. So my point is that we can't be delusional. If I'm 6'1", and have less than a 6'1" wingspan. My wingspan's less than my height. So for basketball, it's like, genetics, terrible. So we do have to be realistic about our size. And what it means is, how am I going to be dangerous to my competition? I feel so dangerous when I play, but it's because I've got the strongest knees on the court every time I touch the court. That makes me dangerous. So I have to be realistic. If a 7-footer could do that, I'm screwed. Although I'll still find a way. I'll figure out something. No, I'm just kidding, but I'm serious. All right. Number 3, go-to skills. I used to think that because I had 100 different moves, that somehow was making me a better basketball player. It was just exhausting me on the court more. The trick is, how few moves do you need? And look, this is just my experience. It doesn't mean you can't have a bunch of moves. When you really break the best players down in slow motion, when you really break Michael Jordan down, boom, he can just go to a move. Kobe Bryant was the same way. You would see him use the same moves on people over and over. For example, if you reach out a jab foot and then you rock your weight back on the back foot, out of that same movement, boom, you can stop and go baseline. You'll see Kobe do that over and over, and you say, what a dumbass. They watch film, how do they not pick that up? But that's because if they react to that, then they're flying out of the way that way. Or if they back up at all, you're going into a jump shot. That's an example of a go-to move. It's something you can go to. So what happens is, you can be exhausted in a game. You can go to a move instead of exhausting yourself. So why are those 1, 2, 3? Because we don't even have to get fancier than that. If you are already the fastest on the court and you're pound for pound the most bulletproof player on the court for your size, and you have go-to skills, that's like combining LeBron James and Kevin Durant and Michael Jordan in one player. So that you don't even have to get fancier than that. Now I put sled number 4 because for someone who is fragile, who is slow, and needs to even work on their skills, let's say, the sled can help you because you recover so fast. You recover in a few hours, yet you can actually put money in the bank to get stronger in a way that you're also building some endurance capacity. For example, if you were out of your sport because of injury, the sled would allow you to get in shape and improve these factors so you can come back into your sport even better than when you left. Now, number 5, additional factors. That is the stuff I was doing. I was doing all the plyometrics and extra running and stuff like that. And in terms of additional factors, probably the only one that I've consistently seen work well myself is something like an air runner for someone in a sport. Let's say you're a basketball player and you are slow, and now you are working on these things. Basketball court's like 30 meters long. You don't even build up to top speed by then. My point is just that once a week as a basketball player, if you worked with like a track coach and you wore track shoes with spikes on a track, you're going to build up to greater speeds than you'll ever touch on a basketball court. So if you are a slower person who suffers with endurance, and now you're trying to fix it this way, in this active way that makes you dangerous as heck, that makes you bulletproof compared to the norm, well, I've seen something like that work well. It's still only number 5 in the list, but I've seen that work really well. I used to have like a 1-year speed recipe, and it meant jacking up your measurable strength and your bulletproofing reserve, which I actually need to finish that really quick. I'm on my last round of the workout. This is my $35 Nord stick right here. So this is my 10th round of these exercises today. Real fancy, not super cheap, super boring, putting in the work, but it feels good knowing that every rep I'm getting more dangerous at my sport rather than trying to deviate and get fancier in a way that won't actually give me an advantage on my competition. So it feels great to actually stick with the basics. What was that? Okay, now I'm here. I'm on my last set here. This, you could get a monkey foot. I'm basically just working on one like that, but made in the USA, that allows you to load tibialis. But monkey foot works great. I'm thinking about squeezing the back glute, flexing the hip flexor. So this, man, when I had such weak hip flexors, they were probably the weakest on the court. God, was basketball not fun to be the slowest player on the court and have to work so much harder. So this is not raising my body's relative, like my whole body weight is not skyrocketing from this. That's why it's not as simple as just to say, oh, you're unathletic, just squat, deadlift, whatever. Well then, where's the young Michael Jordan being made off that? Hasn't. Weight room, typical traditional weight room stuff. is going to create a body type that is less like the natural young Michael Jordan and that is less protected than if you're addressing bulletproofing reserve. Modern training is definitely manufacturing more fragile, stiffer bodies where it's going to be harder to find out your genetic potential. But really have no reason to fear because I'm in my 30s unraveling this stuff after doing everything wrong. If I can do everything wrong and now still have over a 40-inch vertical and in actual sprints, I'm on par with the average NFL defensive backs I've trained despite running a 6-second 40-yard dash in high school. The point is, we can unravel just about anything. Our potential is massive, but no one's ever done 10 sets in a workout on that step up. I've never seen it in any workout. Never seen 10 sets lifting up your hip flexors. Never seen, and actually the people who do just stick with that boring Nordic every week for years are people like Jonathan Edwards, who broke a world record with gray hair in the triple jump, fastest entrance ever. No one's ever matched him. No one's ever trained as boring. No one's willing to train that boring. His world record still stands despite having the genetics that the orthopedic specialist in his country said, you can't even be a triple jumper. They said, you don't have the genetics to be a triple jumper. This morning I saw that Stephen Curry, Duke wouldn't even offer him a walk-on spot. That means Duke said, you can't even pay to go to our school, a college. We're talking about a guy now who generates billions in sales and just won his 4th championship. No one can tell you what your potential is. Tomorrow hasn't happened. The future is unwritten. So don't let it scare you if I point out literal and major mistakes in training that make us more fragile. So, additional factors, like I said, the only thing I personally believe in for this equation is using something like an air runner or having actual track shoes on a track and opening your body up to faster speeds than you would reach in your team sport. And then number 6, not infinite. I still have one more exercise. I almost forgot. This is upper body training to get those rear shoulders and mid back like elite sprinters. Again, can't just follow a traditional route and mimic those freak genetics. So at top end speeds, we start relying on those muscles between the shoulder blades, not to mention every ounce stronger I get on this, my shoulder's more protected. The not infinite point is this. No matter how much you follow those, even if you were the fastest person in the world and had the best endurance in the world, meaning let's say hypothetically, you could run as fast as Usain Bolt and you broke the world record in the marathon. Okay, so this doesn't occur. I'm just giving a hypothetical example. The human body still has limits. What that means is that when you go play a sport like basketball, you could still tire yourself out. So you have a couple options there. What I try to do is I think of playing as conditioning. I'm trying to tire myself out because in doing that, I cause myself to adapt. Michael Jordan was down here in defensive stances. Michael Jordan was probably just the hardest working, literally, player to be like 6'6" in NBA history. He forced himself. Now, you have a combination of all kinds of things and genetics and this and that, but measurably, if you watch the film, he caused himself more adaptation from playing to be more bulletproof, to be able to last longer. So I think of it that way. The harder I'm playing, then as time goes, the harder I can play compared to my competition. But now, depending on how much is on the line, now you have the factor of, well, you can't sprint and jump all out continuously. It tires. So you can start to pick your spots and understand on the court or on the field, what are your spots to go harder or less hard. So basically in 6 and 3, a lot of actual real world skill goes into it. If I went and played soccer, I wouldn't have go-to skills. So I'd probably overwork compared to what I need to. I probably wouldn't know what possessions I need to go harder on or less hard. So because of 3 and 6, if I'm playing a sport I haven't played before, I'm probably gonna struggle pretty badly. So this is my current estimation of this, and just know your potential is massive. If you wanna know what all this shit is that I'm doing, this is a 3-day version of advanced dense that I've been working on for 2 reasons. One is that I divide my year half training outside from a yard gym. So I live like, what's it like when you can't have all this fancy gym equipment. What's it like if you train from home? And I'm not playing basketball during that time. It's like off season. And one thing I can do in the off season is I can try to get faster. I can try to change this 80-90. So when I return to the court, it's even easier than when I left. So this is a 3-day advanced dance for speed, which is also because our second baby is due any week now. So I have to set myself up for success. Would I like to train 5 days? I normally would train 5 days. Having a second baby, am I going to be able to train 5 days? So I'm trying to set myself up for success and have a 3-day version so that I can still make massive gains. So if I'm doing a 3-day version, well, I started to realize, and I've been doing it this last week now. I spent 7 weeks on a 5-day advanced dance, and now on week 8, shifting toward the baby, now I've switched over and I'm working on polishing this 3-day version, but it's already making me realize this might be a cheat code to only have 3 hard sessions a week. So I allow up to 10 sets on these exercises on the 3 hard days. Now you could do less, you could be in season. I don't care, do 3, 5, whatever. Maybe become like Michael Jordan style. Build yourself mentally, do 10 sets. Do you. But the point is I allow up to 10 sets, 3 days, and then only up to 2 sets, max 2 sets on the days in between. So we're still keeping all our ATG gains, but we're putting money in the bank according to physics to develop the body more like that Usain Bolt type that's gonna basically crush people on this 80-90. If you remember already, the app will switch over for you literally any day. I've been working for over 2 years on an app to try to make it the easiest to use fitness app. And that way you can see any program in real time. You can scan all the programs. You even have a list of every exercise that I coach in case you're writing your own programs. You just want to get your form coached. So I want that thing to be out so badly. I can't wait to let you know that it's out. And for members, we'll just be switching you over. You won't have to lift a finger. So again, as always, thanks to those of you who watch these whole videos, because I'm getting messages now from so many of you changing other lives. So the ripple effect is because of those of you studying in depth. Love you. Thank you.